So I was saying generalized anxiety disorder. The first point is excessive anxiety, and this can be because of anticipated anxiety, anticipatory or signal. If it is signal, more likely to be aggression driven, in which case worry also will be there. The rumination of the worry, the repetition of the worry will be led by the signal anxiety and aggression below it. Similarly, you can also have anxiety. This excessive anticipatory anxiety can be because of oral issues of loss, that you fear loss because the mother has not been consistently available, or it can be anal anxiety of too much domination, or signal anxiety in the anal stage of aggression coming up. And you can have Oedipal anxiety. So I was saying, if you get a patient at 0 to 2, look at the trust and the loss issues. They may be generating anxiety. If you look at the anal stage issue child, look at the domination, submission, and the loss of one's output, as well as the signal anxiety of rage in the anal stage. And if you are looking at Oedipal stage child, look at the castration anxiety. That castration, Oedipal fear will be manifesting in the form of generalized anxiety disorder. 5 to 12, it can be anything related to the stressor, related to performance. 12 onwards, if it starts at the puberty period, go back to 0 to 5, because then all that was unresolved in 0 to 5 opens up in puberty. The individual finds it difficult to control the worry. This may happen because of, this repetition may happen because of, as I said, repetition can happen because of anxiety or because of anger. In both cases, repetition can happen. That we see in OCD also. You can have a anxiety-driven OCD, or you can have a anger-driven OCD. You can also have anxiety-driven OCD because of guilt. The guilt is covered by signal anxiety. And in OCD, you always find very harsh guilt. And you also find obstinacy, very stubborn nature. The anxiety and worry are associated with 3 or more of the 6 symptoms. Let us look at the 6 symptoms. First, restlessness or feeling keyed up or on the edge. The restlessness is because of catastrophic thinking and anxiety. And one is always on the edge. The edge can be because of anticipatory event, or it can be because of a signal event. One can always be on the edge, that one is not clear when this anger will burst out. And the signal anxiety is always there. And the signal anxiety leads to the restlessness. Are you getting it? For example, let us say you are very angry with your boss and you have to meet him every day. And you don't know when you will explode and say something you should not be saying. So every time you meet him or have to meet him, the feeling of restlessness and being on the edge comes in. It's like walking on the eggshells. You don't know when you will explode. That can cause, so anticipatory anxiety and signal anxiety both can cause restlessness. Any other thing that you can think about? Loss of an attachment figure can also cause anxiety and restlessness. So as I said, one group of GAD will be anticipatory anxiety based, second will be signal anxiety based, and the third will be attachment loss based. Fourth will be guilt and shame based, superego based. Being easily fatigued. Why does this happen? Any idea?
Repression takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, repression takes a lot of energy, number one. Number two, anxiety itself is a high energy operation. So if you remain anxious for a long time, naturally you feel tired, because it takes a lot of energy to maintain that palpitation and everything else. Third, anxiety can easily go into hands and legs and create the fatigue, what we call the jelly legs, the limbs, the tone of the muscle goes. So anxiety can easily do that, and one can feel fatigue because of just loss of the tone. Just don't feel the strength in the muscles. Fourth, anxiety can easily work on the appetite going low and can disturb the biological processes in the stomach which generate energy. That can be one more reason. Third, difficulty of concentrating and mind going blank. So what we see is, in two, the anxiety is going in the hands and legs and in the GET tract. In three, the anxiety is going in the cognitive perceptual apparatus. Therefore, the mind goes blank or difficult to concentrate. Fourth, irritability. This has two reasons. One, the state of high anxiety itself is very uncomfortable. It's like a sick state, and you may feel irritable because simply of the discomfort. Just as if you get fever, you become irritable slightly. The discomfort makes you irritable. So you can be irritable out as a consequence of anxiety, or you may have signal anxiety covering up irritation. Both are possible. Say you have a lot of irritation and it's trying to come up, and there is a signal anxiety layer covering it. So what you actually have is a lot of irritation already. And the anxiety that you are calling GAD is actually a cover anxiety of that irritation, or you may feel irritation as a consequence. So irritation can be both the root or the consequence of GAD. But the irritability, so to say, that comes usually as a consequence. Muscle tension, it can go both ways. Usually when we say muscle tension, we mean high muscle tension, and that is anxiety going into the striated muscles. So when the anxiety flows into the striated muscles, you get the muscle tension. And when the muscles lose their tone, it's a higher form of anxiety. So muscle tension is better than feeling fatigued and feeling without tone and strength. Because anxiety will have three layers. When anxiety is mild, it will go into striated muscles and you will feel tension, which is a good thing compared to the other two possibilities. If the anxiety becomes moderate, it will go into smooth muscles. And then you will feel nauseating, you will feel cramps, you will feel appetite problems, and so on. And the third is, it goes into very high anxiety, will either make the limbs go limp, completely jelly legs, jelly hands, loss of muscle tone, or it will disturb the cognitive perceptual disturbance. You can't think clearly, mind becomes numb, mind becomes blank, or the vision becomes blurred. You feel like you cannot see clearly. So you have three grades: mild, moderate, and severe. And based upon where it goes, we can make out what intensity it is. Sleep disturbance. Like we said, sadness can lead to sleep disturbance, anger can lead to sleep disturbance. Similarly, anxiety can also lead to sleep disturbance. Third reason for not being able to sleep, anxiety. This can be both anticipatory or signal. Both may lead to sleep disturbance. But if it is signal, the chances are that it will be more, if it's on the lower side, it will be more related to anger. Anything, any question from some?
Can I go back a little?
Yeah, please.
We discussed about in under the depression, we discussed everything about suicidal ideation and death and all that, and we did not mention Thanatos at all.
Correct. We missed out. So that is also true, because if you look at from that model point of view, right, then we will see obsessive suicidal ideation or obsessive self-destruction, that can be attributed to thanatos. Or self-harm accompanied by glee, meaning one is harming oneself, but if you look at the face and the way one narrates it with a high. One is finding the high of self-harm. That can be because of masochism, and that will be outcome of death instinct. And very chronic depression, where whatever you do, the thing just goes away, that also is attributed to a constitutionally high death instinct. You will also find it in some forms of paranoid personality disorder. Okay.
Yes.
Now let us go to some other chapter. Okay. Let us take up one personality disorder. Which one would you like to take up?
Dependent.
Okay. Okay, dependent. Let us take up dependent. Okay. We take up dependent. A pervasive and excessive need to be taken care of that leads to submissive and clinging behavior, excessive fears of separation, beginning by early childhood and present in variety of context. 5 or more of the following. Let us go into the following. 1. Has difficulty making everyday decisions without excessive amount of advice and reassurance from others. So what would be at the background? Anyone?
I didn't get the questions.
If this is the symptom, what would be the psychoanalytic process behind it? What are the possibilities? Because this is like the front. So what would be at the back end, psychoanalytically speaking? So first is
Anxiety of losing the attached figure.
correct, very much so. There's center of dependent personality.
Lo-
The fear of loss. The center of dependent personality, the fear of loss. The
Effort to keep the object tied to oneself.
correct. That is because of the fear of loss. So we'll go into deep depth of it. We have time, not to worry. So first is difficulty making everyday decisions without excessive amount of advice and reassurance from others. The first is I am not good enough. So after the one decides, one feels unsure about oneself. Right? That have I taken the right decision? So the dependent person will take it to somebody else and take a second opinion. Right? So you always need a second opinion of the other after one's first opinion. One is not confident that one's first opinion is good enough. So the first point is, I am not good enough. And where would you develop I am not good enough? Many sources. First source. So there are two parts of I am not good enough. One is the source of it, and second is the maintenance of it. So let us first go into the source of it. How do you develop I am not good enough? First, early life loss. If the mother is absent, or if the breast is not giving adequate milk, the child summarizes that it is happening because I am not good enough, I am not interesting enough, and therefore, in future, if I don't have to lose attachment, I have to please the other. And I can't decide by myself because I am not good enough, I make a mess of it. So first is early life loss or early life attack that creates I am not good enough. One source. Second source, parents, teachers, or neighborhood is not admiring but overcritical. They are very demanding in childhood. They don't admire what you do. So you never get a sense of I am good enough because you're never admired. And because you're criticized too often or asked to do something more than what you have done, whatever you do is not enough. So this is experiential root of building up I am not good enough. Third is adult life decisions turning out to be upside down, unprofitable. So that may create I am not good enough. Now the second part is why do you maintain it? Because cognitively speaking, if you put together your goodness, if you write down on a piece of paper, what are the good things in me and what are the not good things in me, and you put them together, you can easily arrive at realistic assessment of oneself. The question is, why does not it happen? Something which is so easy to do, why doesn't it naturally happen? Why is it resisted so heavily by the mind? That is because one part of the mind wants to maintain I am not good enough because of certain reasons. First is you can be free from the responsibility of consequences of decision. Second, you want to please the other, that I am doing everything because of taking your advice. So that is a defense against loss or attack. You keep the other pleased, you keep the other involved. Third is you have idealized the other and de-idealized yourself. So the other, you have put all the goodness inside of you into the other. So now nothing is left in you. So you are 0 out of 10 and he is 10 out of 10. And that is because you have put all your goodness into him. Now this has two parts. One, you want to preserve the goodness and you don't feel confident you can preserve it in yourself. And two, there is an ecstasy of being with an omnipotent person. That once you put all the goodness in the other, he appears omnipotent. And there is very high happiness of being with him. And that ecstasy of happiness you don't want to let go. Third, by making the other perfect, you put all the blame of the other on oneself. And you say, if the other has done something wrong, it is because of me. I must have done something to ask for it. Or he has done it for my own good. He would never do anything wrong otherwise. You maintain the goodness of the other because if you don't maintain it and you do a realistic assessment and you own up the goodness in oneself, either the other is narcissistic and he will leave, or you will have to allow your anger to go towards him, which will result in a loss. So to prevent loss of the narcissistic other, or to prevent loss because of expression of your anger, you cover up the anger by your self-de-idealization. Fourth, this advice taking for multiple people also becomes a source to get in touch with the people, because a dependent personality gets very high happiness by being with people. So the core desires of the dependent personality are: one, being with people; two, attaching to people. 3, attention of the people. 4, care of the people. 5, admiration. 6, love. And 7, protection. This being the desires, right? This becomes one more occasion. So this seeking of opinion also becomes one more occasion. These are secondary gains of that part. So this is one part, why he does that. Now, second, needs others to assume responsibility because he has indulged in idealization of the other, de-idealization of oneself. I am not good enough. And now there is catastrophic thinking that because I am not good enough, I will make a horrible decision. And then catastrophic thinking may, the seventh, I talked before catastrophic thinking of 7 steps. Right? Step 1 is convert an ordinary situation into a problem, challenge. Step 2, magnify the challenge. Step 3, minimize one's goodness, one's capability. Step 4, when you combine 2 and 3, the conclusion is you will fail. You won't be able to make it. Step 5, catastrophize the consequences of that failure. Step 6, the anxiety mounts. Step 7, you feel rage and anger in response to that anxiety to cover it up. And that anxiety and anger, that anger and irritation either is somatized or externalized. And step 8, now you need the other to overcome this catastrophic process. So to prevent loss and attack and to enjoy the ecstasy of the omnipotent, you make the other omnipotent and self zero potent. Now, once you make zero potent, self zero potent out of those motivations, attack, loss, and ecstasy, when to cater to these motivations of attack, loss, and ecstasy, you make oneself zero potent and the other omnipotent. The natural outcome of this is catastrophic thinking. And then the natural outcome of that is the taking help of others and clinging on to others. Has difficulty in expressing disagreement because of the fear of loss or support. It's given very clearly. The fear is of loss or attack. And independent mechanism, you never think of retaliating back. Like if somebody attacks, you never think of attacking back. You get into that child mode that one is completely helpless and the other is omnipotent. So there is no question of contesting it. And this is also true of triangles, that a dependent mechanism caught in a triangle always thinks of defeat. That if, let us say, there are 2 people who want the same woman, one is dependent and one is not. The dependent person will never think that I will defeat the other person and get the woman. In a triangle, defeat is presupposed. That all triangles in life will be like the Oedipal triangle. So the Oedipal triangle becomes a template for all other triangles. You cannot win. And the loss is extremely painful. So every triangle in life is thought of as the Oedipal triangle. There is always a terror of loss and defeat and sadness in that Oedipal triangle. And therefore, the dependent person always will try to collapse the triangle into a line. He will always go into a 2-person relationship, not into a 3-person relationship. So he can't express disagreement because of fear of loss or attack or the loss of ecstasy. Has difficulty initiating projects or doing things on one's own because of lack of self-confidence, which comes from difficulty of owning up the goodness in oneself, which is because you don't want to lose people, you don't want attack of people, you don't want to lose ecstasy of the omnipotent. Okay. Goes to excessive lengths to often obtain nurturance and support from others to the point of volunteering things to do that are unpleasant. because here the happiness is in the hands of the other. You have to keep the other happy to be yourself happy. So what happens here is you put your happiness in the hands of the other. The other should not abandon and the other should not be displeased. And that is the difficulty, that you are not in control of your happiness. So we go to excessive lengths to obtain nurturance from others. Why? Because in early life, when nurturance was wanted, it was not available. And the deprivation is still there. The early life deprivation has not been filled. The crater is still a crater. It has not been filled up. Why it has not been filled up? Because of two reasons. One, adequately good people have not come in life, or the capacity to receive is not there, or both may be in operation. That adequately good people did not come in life to fill up the crater of deprivation, or we fear emotional closeness because of the early life experience. So even when good people are there and we could have an attachment, and after having an attachment, we can internalize them and fill up that emptiness in the crater inside. We refuse to do it because of early childhood experience, that attachment leads to loss and attack and unbearable pain. So that early childhood experience does not allow adult attachment, and therefore the crater remains a crater. That hollowness, that emptiness remains, cannot be filled up, because we refuse closeness to anybody. And this filling up can happen only after closeness is established. Okay? So early life experience leads to fear of closeness. Fear of closeness leads to refusal to get close to somebody. That does not allow the early life deprivation to be undone by internalizing good, reliable, stable objects. So the early life deficit of internalizing good, reliable, stable objects remains a deficit, is not filled up. Yes, sir, you were saying something.
Is it the same thing that you said the split remains open?
Yeah, one of the consequences of early life loss is the split, and the second outcome is the fear of attachment.
And the split is between?
The split is like the child is at the breast, and when the child is at the breast, it feels ecstatic, omnipotent, and suddenly the breast is not available, and the child feels terror of survival, loss of nourishment, loss of pleasure, security, love, belongingness, everything. So in one instance, you were in heaven and now you are in hell. So the presence of the good breast creates the feeling of heaven, and now you get the feeling of torture. And if the breast is not available, or the mother is not available for a long period of time, then what happens is you experience this part, the torture part more, the hell part more than the heaven. And then it's difficult to close, because if you close, nothing good inside will remain. The hell experience is 5 kg and the heaven experience is 1 kg. If you put the two together, it will be -4 hell. And we want to preserve something good in us, because that becomes the anchoring point where we can go back to in future, when something is not working in present, in future. Right? So as an adult, if something is not working at this moment, I can go back to my good memories. I have somewhere to go back to. So then,
No, sir, please go.
So then I keep the split open, I don't close it. The second part is, so if the bad experiences are more than the good experiences, the split remains open. Second, if I am so addicted to the experience of heaven, because when I close it, I will neither have heaven nor I will have hell. I will have reality. But reality I find very boring and bland. It's distasteful, untasteful, tasteless. I want that high of that ecstasy. So I want the split to be open, because I want that ecstasy. I can't let it go. Having tasted it once, I'm addicted to it. Right? So I have to open up, right? I have to keep it open, because if I close it, then the ecstasy and the paranoia both will go together. So I have two choices. Either I alternately experience ecstasy and paranoia, or I experience neither and I experience the tasteless everyday reality.
Yes, right. The point was that, suppose, for example, our science is very difficult and inexact. So, depending on more people actually helps. I came across a book on by Consumer Union edition on depression, perhaps by Papa Nicolau, and it said that you consult 2 or 3 psychiatrists at the same time because everyone understands psychiatry differently, and then continue with the one whom you find acceptable to yourself.
Correct.
So that was one. And second is there not a possibility that, like multiple mothering, if a person remains dependent personality disorder, then he keeps on taking succor and dependence from various people,
Correct.
like secondary gains, and collects those and sails through.
Correct. So the
It is
first,
not a very healthy solution. It is rather costly, but he sails through.
so I always say that the first medicine for dependent personality disorder is people. That if you have adequate people around you and you're attached to them, it's a good enough solution.
Yeah.
The crisis happens when you don't have adequate people around you or adequately safe people around you. So for a dependent personality, the most terrifying thing is the vacuum.
Yes.
That there is nobody to whom you are attached. That vacuum is most terrifying. And what dependent personality will do is immediately substitute with somebody else, because the vacuum is unbearable. Now, why is the vacuum unbearable? Because of 3 reasons. One, it leads to the anxiety of death. That I am not good enough to survive in this world. I need an omnipotent protector, my savior. And if I don't have it, I won't survive. So the anxiety of death comes up. Second, the sensitivity of having lost the person, the sadness of having lost the person. Because dependent personality is extremely sensitive. It's also very noble. It's a very noble personality type. They want to do good to others. They want to see happy others happy. It's a classical social work NGO personality. So there's a lot of nobility and selflessness in the personality, but also very high sensitivity. When loss happens, the same sensitivity creates very high sadness. So the first is the fear of death. Second is unbearable pain of sadness. And third is unbearable pain of loss of ecstasy. Not the unbearable pain, but the unbearable situation of loss of ecstasy. So these 3 make the vacuum very difficult. So the way out is substitution. It's a practical way out. Now, to go in the depth of oneself and solve these 3 issues will take years and years of therapy or self-work, whatever one does. One can work on oneself or one can go to therapy, but this is a long-term process to go into the depth of the problems of vacuum and solve it and say, tomorrow if I have vacuum, I won't have a problem. That takes quite some time. The immediate solution is substitution.
People.
So the first question a dependent personality should be asking is, where is my tribe? I need a tribe in which I have to belong, a group of people. So where is my group or where is my tribe? And ask oneself, what is coming on the road as a roadblock? Why I cannot have a group of people always around me? And work on those speed breakers and solve them. So the solution is group of people. Now the group of people is not there for some reason. Go into it. What is stopping me from having a group of people around me? Work on those speed breakers. That's the best way to approach it.
Thank you.
Feels uncomfortable or helpless when alone because of exaggerated fears of being unable to care for oneself. As I said, fear when alone, fear of death, unbearable sadness, and loss of ecstasy come up and they become unbearable. So then the deeper question is, there is something called the shelf life of a person's presence. Okay. Just give me a moment. I'll come back in a moment. Just give me a moment. Yeah, I was coming to a very important point. The shelf life of an object in the inner world. Let me give an example to explain this. What does, let us say there is a person with dependent personality mechanism inside of him, and he is lonely for 2 days. 2, 3 days he is lonely. Nobody's there. Let's say in vacation, Diwali, everybody has gone out. Now, after the third day, he starts feeling lonely, demotivated, lack of energy, sad. Mild symptoms of depression start coming up. Now somebody calls him up and comes to meet him. And after meeting him, the person feels good, happy, energetic, motivated. And the person goes. After 2 hours of meeting, the person goes. And after the meeting is over, for 4 or 5 hours, you still feel pleasant, as though the person is there. And after that, you start feeling lonely again. Which means there is a shelf life of that object in the inner world. That when the object was present in front of you, it was all good. You internalize the memory of that person, and that memory had a shelf life of 5 to 7 hours, let us say 1 day or 2 days also. And again, you feel depressed. You feel fatigue. Okay. Fine enough. We'll see you next week. So again, you feel fatigue. So the point is, why do you have this shelf life, and why the shelf life is so short? The point is, it represents what we call internalizing difficulty. That if there is a good object in front of you and you are able to internalize it, then even if externally the object is not there, he's still there inside. But if internalization is not happening well, then the shelf life is very short. And this mechanism, if you are a saint and you want to live in a cave all alone for 10 days, you need this internalization mechanism very strong. That people are not around you, but in the inner world, there is a human galaxy inside of people, thickly populated. Now, that internalization process is weak in the dependent mechanism, and therefore the physical presence is required more than that of others. So if the shelf life for a non-dependent person, let us say, is 48 hours, for dependent person it will be 24 hours. So the other is the sunshine, opposite of narcissism, where the other is the hell. Because hell. Because the presence of the other does not allow me to live without boundaries. The other puts a boundary on me. So in dependence, the other is the sunshine.
So Vipassana may be a good test and a treatment also for the dependent personality.
Correct. And there what will happen is he will internalize people around him who are practicing Vipassana along with him.
But they do not let that happen. You are in a separate room.
Correct.
And if you follow all the rules and don't see here and there, then that is a good test and actually a provocative treatment, I would say.
Absolutely. So I would say the discomfort would be very high. So it's better to first do it in groups, first 2-3 days, and then go into solitary Vipassana.
Mhm. Thank you, sir. I have done it. I am sorry
Oh,
keeping the brackets, such inserting brackets, but I have done that and survived. So
very good.
I can take this as an example of my personality type who
Correct.
could survive without being in the specialist therapy
Yeah.
and seeing with little problem could go through the life.
So that means that there is a very good ego strength and a very good healthy part of you.
Mhm.
Because this is something even a non-personality disorder person finds it difficult to do. Uh, urgently seeks another relationship as a source of care and support when a close relationship ends. Because of what we said, the terror of vacuum. Unrealistically preoccupied with fears of being left to take care of himself or herself. This is actually often accompanied by the terror of destitution.
Mhm.
That not only will the others leave me, but all that I have I will lose out, and I will die a pauper. So the fear of loss extends not only to people but even to money and objects. So there will be a group of dependent people who will give you more money than you ask for to please you. And there will be another group of dependent people who won't give you money because they have this terror of destitution. That I am not good enough, I won't be able to earn anything extra. Whatever I have, this is the finite thing I have, and I cannot give it to anybody. So I had a dependent person who did not pay me for a very long time. Actually, the person never paid me. And I kept asking, let us focus on this problem of not paying. But the person would just not go there. So,
He did not want to get well, remain in the
correct. So,
रिहाई तो नहीं मांगी थी
हाँ,
कहना मांगी थी रिहाई तो नहीं मांगी थी.
बिल्कुल सच. In fact, one of the patients told me a statement on which I later made a recording.
Uh-huh.
The person said, what will I do if I don't have a problem?
Wonderful.
So,
Yeah.
the person says, I want to heal till 70-80%, then I don't want to heal further. Because
Much
if I, one is the problem also is a kind of somebody being with me.
support.
Huh.
Otherwise, too much of responsibility.
That is one. Second is if I don't have a problem, that also creates a different kind of vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the third is I will lose the therapist. I don't want to lose the therapist.
I don't want to lose a therapist.
And the fourth is if I have that problem, everyone is nice to me. If I don't have any problem, people will deal with me ordinarily, and that is too harsh for me because I'm too sensitive.
Yeah.
The regular way people behave is too harsh for me. So I made a video out of that. What will I do without a problem?
But sir, what will happen if somebody has a physical problem? And then dependent personality disorder will become more difficult to heal because he realistically needs support.
Correct. Correct. Like,
Psychosomatic real.
so what? That's one of the most difficult things, that the dependence is both biological and psychological. And in many dependent cases, you will see somatization of the anger and sadness. And often that comes out in the form of some sort of autoimmune sickness. And very common, Skin is very common.
Somatization of anger and sadness.
Yeah. One more element of dependent personality is very harsh guilt. Very high guilt. So very high guilt, very high sensitivity, a very high desire for omnipotence, the ecstasy of omnipotence, the search for an omnipotent savior, the terror of vacuum. So these are some of the things which always come up in the therapy of dependent personality.
Yes, sir.
And the clinging is something that suffocates you. And that often is double-edged. One, it is because they want to avoid loss, which actually results in the loss. So they cling and micro-control to avoid loss, and that actually suffocates the other person and runs for his life. So the attempt to avoid loss actually brings about a loss. And one more element is of how they feel in the absence of people. So one is this terror of vacuum, and two visuals often are expressed. One visual is that I just can't breathe. When the vacuum comes, I just can't breathe, as if the person who was there is my air and the air has gone away. And the second is that I am drowning in water. It's already to this, I can't breathe. So these are the visual representations of the terror of vacuum, which you see very common in dependent personality. In fact, once I went terribly wrong. The person was trying to explain to me how the loss is the loss of the air. So the person said, imagine I'm standing in a mango forest and suddenly I can't breathe. So I said, is it because you want the mangoes? And the person got extremely angry. Then after so many years of therapy, you don't understand anything about me. I am not talking about the mangoes, I'm talking about the air. It is not having X, Y, Z in life, it is just surviving.
But then why situate oneself in mango forest then?
And that is where I got misled, that instead of focusing first on the air and then going to mangoes, I jumped to mangoes because the imagery was so vivid. And there I made a mistake. I never knew that in dependence, I should first go on survival and then on happiness and pleasures. So that mistake taught me this, that the less emphasized air survival element of air is actually more deeper and more closer to the person, more central than other desires of love, care, attention. So I thought the mangoes represent that love, care, attention, which you are seeking in an attachment. But the first thing you are seeking actually is oxygen. So that I got misled in that imagery. But later on I recollected, okay, this is how the interpretation can be. So should we stop for the day? It's 5 o'clock. If you have some questions, we can go on.
You are great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So this is how we apply symptom by symptom the psychoanalytic theory.
Amazing.
Thanks.
Karen, I have not studied Bion and Klein and other people, as you said, but Karen Horney would be fitting many of these constructs here, especially personality disorders. And
Correct.
this is what I thought. I many times find ambivalence, whether I'm in a position to say something, will it be taken as a suggestion? Will it be taken as a doubt? Will it be taken as an affront?
So this too much thinking about the other is related to loss and attack.
Yeah.
So the solution is just let it go.
Let it go. Thank you.
I always tell people I had a friend of mine who would never study and write all kind of trash in the examination paper. Often he would write stories of Bollywood movies, and at the end he would say, "Okay, if you give me marks, some Santoshi Mata or Ambe Mata will bestow blessings upon you," all sorts of things. Right? So I once asked him, "Okay, how do you feel writing all this kind of trash in the answer sheet?" He said, I don't have to read it. He has to read it." So I think,
Self-object differentiation is clear.
so I think that attitude to let go what spontaneously comes up and not worry about loss and attack. I think that's a good way to go.
Yes. Thank you, sir. It is healing.
Healing.
Thank you.
Right.